Well, that certainly wasn't the best performance. It's certainly not the best result. But if you are someone who watches my prediction series, you will know that I actually predicted Chelsea to win this game today. So I'm not too disappointed with the overall result. I certainly think the balance of the game would suggest a draw is the right result. But I'd be lying if I was to say if I wasn't sat here not disappointed that we've not come away with a win there on the balance of the actual chances. Because even though the game as a whole was probably an even match, we certainly had more clear-cut chances than Chelsea did. And unfortunately, for the umpteenth time already this season, we've been punished for not being clinical enough in front of goal and not showing the level of composure and the level of conviction needed to take what are pretty decent chances. And it leaves us, I still think, third in terms of most or least goals, should I say, in the Premier League this season. 18th for goals scored in the Premier League this season. And ultimately, that combined with another goal conceded on a set piece, we've ended with another 1-1 draw today. I said on commentary it's the most drawn fixture in Premier League history, so another draw get added to that. But yeah, it is disappointing. Like I say, I'm not actually disappointed with the outcome if you'd have offered me 1-1 this morning, but disappointed that we've not been able to secure a victory today, because I think for the most part we did well. I wouldn't say we played good. I wouldn't say we played great. I think we did okay. I think we did all right. I think considering how well Chelsea have played this season, I think we stifled them very, very well. Considering how much form Cole Palmer's in, how much form the likes of Pedro Neto, certainly even in the game, Pedro Neto looked dangerous, and Madueke and Nicholas Jackson, I think we handled them very, very well. I think if you're going to point to good performances today, you've got to look at Mazraoui as our best player today. You've got to look to a really good performance from De Ligt. You've got to look to a really good defensive display from Dalot against Neto after picking up a yellow card in the first half. You've got to look at how much break-up play Ugarte did again. You've got to look at how well Casemiro did throughout this game again. I think we got that side of the game absolutely spot on today. That's not the reason we conceded. But again, offensively, the decision-making and the composure in front of goal just wasn't there. And there were enough chances in this game. Garnacho, again, takes too many touches and then either shoots. It's bizarre. He takes too many touches, but then somehow still shoots too early. And at the same time, he does miss opportunities to play passes across. Don't get me wrong, he was unlucky on a couple of his chances today. But again, he shoots too often when he's got other players available to play the ball to. Højlund, again, restricted on the amount of chances that he had. Was unlucky with the one that he did have. Rashford, again, didn't really offer too much going forward. He was unlucky with his chance at the back post that hit the bar. Tried to play it across goal. Just came off the outside of his instep onto the crossbar. Would have been a brilliant goal if he'd have scored it. But again, not really working hard enough in terms of the press. And then the biggest chance of the lot coming smack bang in the 90th minute. Bruno Fernandes, middle of the goal. The one player you want it to fall to. And middle of the goal, he tries to volley it. Like, how is that your decision making? You're the senior player. You're the captain. You should be the one that should have that composure, have that conviction to just take a touch, look at the goal, and then just put it to whichever side the keeper's not gone. And unfortunately, like everyone else, he's blazed it over. And ultimately, that's why we've not won the game from an offensive point of view. But we then have to look at set pieces again as to why we've not won the game from a defensive point of view. Because I've already mentioned it. To a man, our back six today, I thought had really, really good games. But the way we defend set pieces doesn't work. And the corner comes in, okay, fine. The box system for defending the corner worked. Casemiro got his head to it. But because we're in such a set shape, Caicedo has got no one around him on the edge of the penalty area. And I come back to so many other incidences over the last few years where that's happened. The biggest one that comes to mind, Gundogan in the FA Cup final 2 years ago, where he's just stood on the edge of the penalty area, and rather than putting the corner or the free kick into the box, De Bruyne just plays it straight to him in that exact same position. And Gundogan scored, and today Caicedo scored. Because we have such a set, locked-in position on how we defend set pieces that it just allows these opportunities to present themselves. Today, it was a player on the edge of the box. Last week, it was a player in the box getting in between the lines. We've got to sort out how we defend set pieces, because all of the defensive hard work that was done today, from 6 very good performances from our 4 defenders, or 5 if you want to include Lindelof coming on as well, and our 2 holding midfielders, has been thrown away due to the defensive structure on set pieces. And unfortunately, that is going to continue to cost us. And when you're in a side that is struggling to score goals, you can't afford to be regularly conceding goals on set pieces. That's my biggest disappointment of the day, is that we've conceded like that. Second to that, obviously, as I've already spoken about, the conviction, the composure in front of goal. But the biggest, well, sorry, not biggest, the third biggest thing that was bothering me today is the amount of times we would receive the ball and then turn round. And what I mean by that is, it's okay to receive, well, I say it's okay, it's never okay to receive the ball with your back to goal. You end up with the whole Casemiro Onana incident when you receive the ball with your back to goal. If you're receiving it on the half turn and you're forced backwards, that can happen in a football match. But what Manchester United did so often today is, if I'm Garnacho or Mazraoui on the left-hand side receiving the ball in here, or I'm Rashford or Dalot receiving it on the right-hand side over here, or whoever was receiving it from whatever side in the middle, the amount of times I saw a Manchester United player receive the ball on the full, feel a Chelsea player coming behind them, and then drag the ball back round. It makes no sense to me. Either they're just trying to win free kicks or trying to get players booked. Just take the ball on. To me, it just shows a real lack of confidence that these players aren't willing to carry the ball forward. And that's something that seriously needs addressing, because it's a massive part of actual chance creation. If at the start of your build-up play, your players are instinctively turning round, either trying to win free kicks or just looking to play the ball backwards, how are you expecting to create chances? And we did it so often that it got to the point that players were just starting to get isolated. There were just huge areas of the pitch where there were no Manchester United players, because we'd play a ball out to someone, they would then turn round, and then 2 Chelsea players would be on their back. So there was just nowhere to go. That is something that really needs addressing. And I said, I don't know if that's a confidence issue, I don't know if that's just an ability issue, or just, again, to come back to that word that Roy Keane mentioned just before I came in here, I don't know if that's just conviction. You've got to have that desire and that overall conviction to say, I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to go. And I think Ahmad showed some of that. I think Garnacho showed some of that. But it was too often that Rashford, Garnacho and Ahmad were turning around. It was too often that Bruno was turning around. Like, you can see the creativity's there. The amount of passes that Casemiro and Bruno were hitting in behind. Ugarte played a brilliant one out to Rashford, that then the cross resulted in just not quite falling to Højlund. Like, we have got the ability to play attacking passes, but I just think we restrict ourselves by turning around too much. So that would be my biggest takeaway in terms of our overall build-up play today. But overall, again, I'm not overly disappointed with the result. It's just a shame that we couldn't take more of our chances today. It's a shame that, again, we've conceded on a set piece. And it's a shame that means that we now come away with another draw, and it continues to be our worst start in Premier League history. In terms of the 2, I would say, big refereeing decisions just around the reaction off, it's definitely a penalty. I can understand why Chelsea fans might think Højlund's thrown himself to the floor too easily. My response to that would be that Pedro Neto threw himself to the floor multiple times today, and he won a free kick every single time. So in terms of overall refereeing consistency, I don't think there can be any complaints surrounding the penalty, unless you then want to make the argument that all of Pedro Neto's dives that got Dalot booked and got Ugarte booked, that they also shouldn't be fouls. And then I actually think that Martinez was very lucky not to get sent off at the end. You know, I'm always honest on this channel as a Manchester United fan. I will not be biased when it comes to decisions. I will look at a decision as is, and I know a lot of people are already saying that it wasn't enough to send Martinez off. For me, you put your studs up, you catch someone on the leg, it's a red card. So I think Martinez was lucky not to get sent off. But yeah, other than that, I think the referee did all right. I think he let an awful lot go. I think that probably then plays into why Martinez was only booked, not sent off. I think there was quite a high threshold in this match for actual free kicks and decisions in terms of the amount of force needed to bring a player down. I think there were a fair few occasions where free kicks could have been given and then weren't. So I'm not too fussed about that overall. But yeah, it's another point on the board. It's the one fixture that I looked at in that run of 6 that I spoke about, where we've got 6 out of our next 7 as home games, with 1 away game to Ipswich, where realistically we should have been winning 5 or 6 out of 7. The one that I said would be the one we'd struggle with is the Chelsea one, and we've got a draw out of it. So hopefully in the next 2 games under Van Nistelrooy, 2 nice home games in the Europa League against PAOK, and then at home to Leicester in the Premier League. Hopefully that'll be 2 wins for Van Nistelrooy to see us into the international break. And then the Amorim era will begin. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you as well for 5,000 subscribers. More on that in tomorrow's Champions League prediction video. I'll see you there.